A red storm rolled across the surface of Mars. The sky looked like fire and dust mixed together, turning the horizon into a burning sea. Deep beneath that sky, a massive structure stood, Project RAILFIRE. It was humanity's greatest secret, built over 10 long years under the silence of the stars. The weapon stretched across the Martian canyon like a mountain of steel, its barrel longer than any ship ever made. Commander Aric Vale stood on the main platform, staring at the glowing rails that hummed with pure energy. His reflection trembled in the reinforced glass. Around him, the control room buzzed with tension. Every heartbeat felt heavier than the next. "Final power check complete," said Dr. Lena Kaur, the chief engineer. Her voice shook slightly. "All systems are green. The railgun is ready for first test fire." Outside, 100 workers stood at safe distance, watching the weapon point at the sky. Everyone knew. This was not just a test. This was history. Aric took a deep breath. He had seen too much war already. The alien invasion at Lunar Base, the fall of Titan, the burning cities of Earth. Humanity had suffered. Millions died when the Jar Dominion came to teach the humans their place. That was the day Aric swore never again. Never again would humanity kneel before alien empires. Now, this weapon was their answer. He pressed the intercom. "All personnel, stand by for ignition. RAILFIRE will commence in T-30 seconds." The room fell silent. The countdown began. 32 to 9:28 outside, the weapon began to glow. Blue electricity danced along the rails, bright enough to turn the red Martian dust into silver mist. Drones floated nearby, recording everything. 19:9. Aric's hands trembled slightly. He knew one wrong pulse could melt the entire facility. The weapon drew power from 3 orbiting reactors, enough to light a continent. 98. The power meters jumped. The hum turned into a roar. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire! The rails exploded in light. A thunderous flash ripped through the sky as a solid metal slug, wrapped in magnetic energy, shot into space at near light speed. The sound was deafening. Every mountain on Mars trembled. For a moment, nothing could be seen, just clouds of dust and fire. Then from the orbital monitors, a signal appeared. The projectile hit its target, a barren asteroid in deep space, and shattered it into nothing. The control room burst into cheers. Scientists hugged each other. Aric closed his eyes in relief. Humanity had done it. The weapon worked. The impossible had become real. But not everyone was celebrating. Far beyond Mars, in the dark corners of the galaxy, thousands of alien sensors detected the same shockwave. The pulse from RAILFIRE moved faster than light, rippling through subspace. It touched ancient satellites, war probes, and the listening towers of forgotten empires. On the throne world of the Jar Dominion, an old emperor opened his glowing eyes. "What is this signature?" he whispered. His servants trembled. "A kinetic discharge, Lord. Origin, Sol Sector. Planet Mars." The Emperor stood. "The humans?" His voice carried disbelief and fear. "They have fired something forbidden." Across the galaxy, communication lines lit up. The Kelthar hierarchy summoned its High Council. The Von Imperium sent scouts toward Earth's star. Every empire, every ruler, every watcher of the old thrones stared at their screens in silence. No one spoke for a long time. The reading was clear. Energy output higher than any warship gun ever recorded. One shot, one asteroid erased. The galaxy trembled, not from sound, but from silence. Back on Mars, the power systems cooled. Smoke filled the hallways. Engineers were shouting, repairing minor damages. Aric stood quietly by the viewport looking at the sky. He didn't know that the signal from the shot had already reached alien worlds. He didn't know his name was now whispered in fear by rulers across the stars. Dr. Lena walked up beside him. "We did it," she said softly. Aric nodded. Yes, but something tells me we just woke someone up. In the blackness of space, among distant stars, unknown eyes blinked awake. Giant ships, silent for thousands of years, powered on. They had heard the shot. The humans had spoken, not with words, but with fire, and the galaxy listened. Across the endless void, light from the railgun test moved like a whisper through the stars. It passed through old relay stations, broken satellites, and long-dead war machines. The message was clear. The humans had fired something powerful. At the center of the galaxy, under a golden sun, stood the throne world of the Jar Dominion, a planet made of black glass and gold towers that reached into clouds of fire. Inside the grand chamber, the rulers of 3 great empires gathered. The air was thick with tension. Holograms flickered across the hall, showing the recorded energy burst from Sol Sector. The Jar Emperor's long claws tapped the edge of his throne. His eyes glowed red. This energy signature, he said slowly. It belongs to no known weapon. Explain. A tall figure from the Kelthar hierarchy bowed low. His skin shimmered like liquid metal. Origin point. Mars, in the human system, he said. They call it Project RAILFIRE. The chamber fell silent. Only the low hum of alien machinery filled the air. Impossible, hissed a Von commander, his face hidden behind a silver mask. The Terrans are primitives. They still burn fuel to fly. They cannot build this, but the data did not lie. The readings were undeniable. A kinetic discharge powerful enough to destroy a small moon. The Jar Emperor stood slowly. His robe, heavy with golden chains, brushed the floor like thunder. Then it is true, he said. The humans have broken the Great Law. The Great Law, an ancient rule set after the last galactic war, forbade any young species from developing weapons that could disturb stellar balance. To the old empires, it was a sacred order. To humans, it was unknown. The Emperor turned to the Council. If they are not stopped, they will become a threat to every throne in this galaxy. The Von commander spoke again. We should act before they multiply their weapons, before others see them as equals. The Kelthar envoy nodded. I agree, but we must be careful. If we strike them directly, the younger colonies may rebel. The humans are popular among traders. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Then we will not strike openly. We will watch, and we will send one of our shadows. From the far end of the hall, a quiet voice spoke. You mean me? All heads turned toward the figure standing near the pillars, a woman-shaped being with silver eyes and dark skin that shimmered like oil. She wore no armor, only a cloak that changed color with the light. Her name was Sithra, an elite agent of the Von Imperium, trained in infiltration and disguise. Yes, the Emperor said, you will go to Sol. You will find the truth behind this railgun. And if they have one, they may build more, learn their weakness, and if you can, destroy it. Sithra bowed. It will be done. Far away, in Mars Base Alpha, humanity celebrated. News channels across Earth called it the dawn of the new era. Crowds gathered around screens, cheering as the image of the glowing railgun fired across space again and again. But inside the command center, Commander Aric Vale did not smile. He looked at the strange data flashing on his monitor, faint signals out of sync with their systems. Are we running any external probes? He asked. Dr. Lena shook her head. No, why? Aric pointed at the screen. Because something is pinging our defense grid from orbit. Lena frowned. Maybe it's an old satellite. Aric didn't answer. His instincts told him otherwise. He had been a soldier too long to mistake a satellite for a shadow. That night, while the rest of the crew slept, a small object drifted silently into Mars orbit, a sleek, black craft, almost invisible against the stars. Inside, Sithra activated her cloak and began scanning. Her cold voice echoed in the dark cabin. Target located. Energy source confirmed. Human weapon exceeds containment limits. Reporting to High Command. She paused, her eyes glowing faintly. For a moment she hesitated. The humans, they were not what she expected. Their technology was rough, simple, yet powerful. "How did a species so young create this?" she whispered. Back on Earth, the United Earth Council met in secret. Leaders from every nation filled the dark hall, screens showing data from Mars. "Alien traffic has increased by 40% around the outer belt," one admiral said. "They're watching us." Aric joined via hololink from Mars. His voice was steady. "Let them watch," he said. "They wanted us weak, they wanted us quiet, but they forgot one thing." He leaned forward. "Humans don't stay weak for long." The council members looked at one another. No one argued. They all knew. This was no longer about pride. It was survival. In the blackness of space, Sithra's ship continued to orbit Mars. She zoomed in on the weapon, her screen showing the human engineers walking, laughing, unaware of her presence. "They are proud," she whispered to herself. And pride always leads to downfall. She pressed her communicator. "Authorization Alpha 9. Begin Phase 2. Prepare interference protocols." The message was sent, but before she could close the channel, her screen flashed red. Signal detected. "Source unknown. Tracking you." Sithra froze. Impossible. Somewhere inside Mars Base Alpha, Aric stared at his monitor again. The strange signal had returned. Stronger this time. He could almost feel someone staring back. He didn't know her name. She didn't know his. But in that silent moment between two worlds, the game had begun. The Watchers were watching. And humanity was already watching back. The red sun rose over Mars Base Alpha, painting the steel walls in a faint, bloody glow. The celebration from the Railgun test was already fading. The humans had proven their power, but something unseen was moving in the shadows. Commander Aric Vale walked through the control bay early that morning. The corridors were quiet, too quiet. Only the low hum of power generators filled the air. Dr. Lena Kaur followed behind him, carrying a data pad. "Power spikes again last night," she said. "Third time this week. The readings don't make sense. It's like something keeps trying to enter our systems." Aric frowned. "You think it's sabotage?" Lena hesitated. "If it is, then whoever's doing it knows our network better than we do." High above the base, the silent black ship drifted among the thin Martian clouds. Inside, Sithra, the alien spy, studied her monitors. Her long fingers moved over glowing symbols as she injected false signals into the human defense grid. Each time she pressed a command, a new glitch appeared on the human screens. Her mission was simple: create confusion, make humans doubt their own success, delay their second railgun test until the empires could decide what to do. But as she worked, she found herself watching their faces through her hidden drones. Human engineers smiling, laughing, arguing. "They look fragile," she whispered to herself, "but they still build mountains out of metal." A strange feeling stirred in her chest, curiosity, maybe even respect. But she quickly shut it down. Emotions were weakness. That night, Mars Base Alpha lost power for 13 seconds. It was long enough to cause panic. The lights died, alarms screamed, and oxygen levels dropped. When the systems restarted, one of the main generators had been locked out by an unknown code. Aric slammed his fist on the console. "That's not a glitch. That's a message." He called the security team. "Seal the base. No signals in or out until I say so." In orbit, Sithra saw the lockdown command. Her eyes widened. "They found me faster than I expected," she said. She quickly cloaked her ship and drifted behind one of Mars's moons. Still, she kept watching. She wanted to see how far these humans could go. Meanwhile, Aric and Lena examined the captured data. Lena pointed at the screen. "See this code signature? It's not ours. It's layered 3 levels deep. Military-grade encryption, but alien in design." Aric leaned closer. "Alien, you're sure?" She nodded. "Yes, and whoever sent it knows our system architecture. They were studying us before they attacked." Aric's jaw tightened. "So they were watching since the first test." He looked out the viewport at the night sky. The stars over Mars looked calm, peaceful, but he knew better. Somewhere out there eyes were on them. "Prepare a decoy signal," he ordered. "If they want to play, let's make them chase the wrong ghost." Hours later, Sithra's ship detected a new signal, a faint energy pulse from Mars base. She smiled. "They're rebooting their test sequence," she said. "Good, I'll crash it." She entered the command, feeding false coordinates into their power grid. But suddenly her screen flashed red. A human code loop appeared, reversing her signal. Her system froze. Her eyes widened. "What?" A voice came through her comm, deep and calm. "Whoever you are," Aric said through the channel, "you've made your first mistake." Sithra's heart raced. "They traced me?" She quickly cut the signal, diving her ship deeper behind the moon's shadow. For the first time in her long career, she felt something she had not felt before: fear. On Mars, Aric stared at the transmission log. They had caught only a glimpse, a strange signature, half alien, half unknown. Lena spoke quietly. "You really think it's the Dominion?" Aric shook his head. "No, Dominion spies are loud. This one's quiet, smarter. Someone doesn't want us to fire again." He turned to his crew. "Then that's exactly what we'll do. Prepare RAILFIRE for another test. Double security, no external access. If they want to stop us, they'll have to do more than hide." Far above, Sithra watched the human crew moving like ants. She whispered to herself, they should be afraid. And yet, they're not. They're preparing again. They never stop. For a long moment she sat in silence, thinking. The empires had always told her humans were reckless, wild and dangerous. But now, watching them work under threat, she saw something different. Resolve. Her communicator buzzed. A cold voice spoke from the other end. "The Von High Command." "Status report, Agent Sithra." She hesitated before replying. "The humans are stubborn. Their weapon, it works. And they are ready to fire again. Then sabotage them before they do," the voice ordered. "Failure is not an option." Sithra closed her eyes. Understood. She looked at the planet one last time. "Forgive me," she whispered, "for what I must do." On Mars, inside the sleeping base, the lights flickered again. Lena's eyes shot open. She checked her monitor. A new warning flashed in red. "Intrusion detected. Source unknown. Location power core." She grabbed her comm. "Aric, we have a breach. Someone's inside the core chamber." Aric was already running through the corridor, pulse gun in hand. Dust fell from the ceiling as he reached the massive energy room. The door was half open, glowing blue. Inside, shadows moved. Sparks flashed. And in that moment, Aric saw something impossible. A figure, not human, standing in front of the core, tall, elegant, skin shining like liquid silver. It turned slowly, and its eyes met his, cold, alien, intelligent. Aric raised his weapon. "Step away from the core!" The creature stared at him for a long, silent second, then vanished into thin air, leaving only static and light behind. The alarm screamed. The base shook. The first warning had been given, and humanity was officially no longer alone. The day began with silence. Mars Base Alpha stood still under the red dawn, but every sensor, every radar, and every mind inside the base was awake. After the incident in the power core, nothing felt normal anymore. Commander Aric Vale hadn't slept. He stood in front of the viewport, staring at the stars. Somewhere up there, that silver-skinned spy had escaped. Proof that the aliens were already moving. Humanity's secret was no longer secret. Dr. Lena Kaur entered the control room, her face pale. "We finished the scan," she said quietly. "That figure you saw wasn't a projection. It was real," Aric nodded. "Then the message is clear. They know what we've built." Lena hesitated. "And now, they're coming." 3 days later, the warning came from deep space. Earth's outer defense satellites picked up massive movement near Jupiter's orbit. Ships, hundreds of them, entering the solar system in tight formation. The transmission was brief and cold. "This is the Jar Dominion Peace Fleet. Stand down your weapon or your worlds will burn." The signal reached every human colony. Fear spread faster than light. Across Earth, people gathered around screens as the image of the alien armada appeared. Enormous ships, glowing red and gold, each one bigger than a city. Human command centers erupted into action. The United Earth fleet deployed from the moon, and orbital cannons around Mars powered on. But everyone knew humanity was outnumbered. Still, Aric didn't flinch. He stood on the platform of Project RAILFIRE, his eyes fixed on the stars, where the Dominion ships glowed faintly like embers. "How long until they reach firing range?" he asked. 30 minutes, Lena replied. "But Aric, their lead ship just locked weapons. Then let's give them a reason to regret it," he said. As the alien fleet drew closer, the sky above Mars turned dark with their shadows. Their commander, High Admiral Drask, looked at the human world with disgust. "These creatures built a weapon they do not understand," he said. "We will erase it and remind them of their place." The alien ships opened their plasma bays. Blue fire built up along their hulls, ready to strike. Down on Mars, alarms blared. Engineers ran to their stations. Drones lifted into the sky, scanning targets. The Railgun tower began to glow once again, its rails charging with energy. Aric's voice echoed through the base. "All units, battle stations, target the lead vessel. No warnings, no negotiations." Lena's fingers flew over the console. "Charging coils at 93%, 95%. In orbit, the alien flagship gave the command. Fire! A massive plasma beam shot down from space, slicing through the thin Martian atmosphere. It hit the ground near the railgun and exploded, throwing sand and debris miles high. The base shook violently. Sirens screamed. Aric grabbed the comm. "Fire sequence ready?" "Ready!" He raised his hand. "Then fire!" The sky exploded. A streak of blinding blue light tore through the heavens as RAILFIRE unleashed its wrath. The slug traveled faster than thought, cutting across the void in seconds. In space, the Dominion's lead ship barely had time to react. The projectile hit it dead center, tearing through armor, reactor cores, and command decks. The entire ship split apart in a chain of explosions, its wreckage lighting up the darkness like a new star. For one long moment, every other alien ship stopped moving. They had never seen a single weapon destroy one of their war giants so easily. The human command centers cheered. Across Earth, across Mars, voices shouted the same words. "We hit them!" But Aric didn't celebrate. He stared at the data. "They won't retreat," he said quietly. "They'll get angry." Up in orbit, the alien admiral slammed his claws into the command table. "Fire everything! Burn that world to ashes." Thousands of plasma bolts rained toward Mars. The sky turned white with light. RAILFIRE's shields flared, shaking under the storm. One section of the base exploded, taking 2 towers with it. Lena screamed over the noise. "Shields failing. We can't take another volley." Aric turned to her, his face calm. "Then we fire again before they do. Sir, the coil hasn't cooled yet." "I said fire!" Lena hit the sequence. The railgun screamed to life again, the ground cracking under the pressure. The second shot ripped through space, this time hitting the enemy's central carrier, vaporizing it in one massive explosion that lit up half the fleet. Silence. The remaining alien ships broke formation, scattering. Their comm channels were chaos, commanders shouting, some retreating, others too shocked to move. From their throne world, the Jar Emperor watched the live feed. His claws shook. "This cannot be," he whispered. "A single human weapon destroyed the Pride fleet." The council chamber filled with whispers and fear. One of his advisors spoke softly. "If they can build one, they can build more." The Emperor turned toward the dark horizon outside his window. "Then humanity must be destroyed before it becomes a god." Back on Mars, the fires finally died. Smoke rose from the red sand, and engineers ran to put out the remaining flames. Lena sat on the ground, exhausted, her face covered in dust. "We actually did it," she whispered. Aric looked at the sky, where burning fragments of the alien ships still fell like stars. "No," he said quietly. "We survived. But now, the galaxy knows what we can do." He looked down at the twisted remains of their comm tower. The alien warning message was still flickering on the cracked screen. "You will regret this." Aric clenched his fists. "No," he muttered. "They will." Far away, Sithra's ship drifted in the shadows, watching the entire battle unfold. Her silver eyes reflected the light of the destroyed fleet. She whispered, almost to herself, "They faced the Dominion's wrath, and they won. No one's ever done that." Her communicator buzzed again. "Agent Sithra," said the voice from High Command, "report what you've seen." She hesitated, then said, "I saw fear, my lord, not from humans, but from us." The line went silent, and in that silence, the galaxy began to tremble. For 3 days, the galaxy said nothing. No messages, no broadcasts, no official statements. Only silence, a silence heavy with disbelief and fear. Every communication relay, every empire, every outpost had seen the same thing. The Jar Dominion's fleet destroyed by humans. The footage spread faster than light, captured by trading beacons and pirate channels. Billions watched it. The blue flash of the Railgun tearing through the alien flagship, the unstoppable energy, the fall of ships that once ruled the stars. On the throne world of the Von Imperium, riots broke out in the lower districts. Citizens shouted in the streets, their voices echoing through the towers. "The humans did it," they cried. "If they can defeat the Dominion, why do we still bow to fear?" In the markets of the Kelthar hierarchy, merchants whispered rumors. Some claimed humans had created a weapon using the core of a dying star. Others said they had made a pact with forgotten gods. But all agreed on one thing. The balance of power was broken. Far from the chaos, Sithra watched the riots from her ship. She had returned to neutral space, her silver eyes fixed on the news feeds. Every word she heard burned in her mind. Humans. The impossible species. One alien anchor said on screen, "They faced the Dominion and survived. The thrones are silent. No empire has moved." Sithra turned off the display. The cabin went dark. She sat there for a long time, her hands trembling. For years she had believed the empires were invincible, that they ruled by right, by destiny. But now she saw cracks forming in that illusion. Her mind went back to Mars, the image of Commander Aric Vale standing before the Railgun, calm and fearless, even under fire. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't a savage. He was human. She whispered to herself, "They don't fight for power. They fight because they have no choice." On Earth things were not calm either. Celebrations filled the cities, but behind the joy there was fear. Aric stood in front of the United Earth Council, his face still marked by the dust of Mars. "The Dominion will not forget," he said. "They will return, and next time it won't be a test. They'll come to wipe us out." One of the councillors asked, "Then what do we do?" Aric looked at the holographic display of the Railgun. "We prepare, we build more, and we make sure the next time they come they'll remember who we are." Dr. Lena, sitting beside him, nodded. "We have the designs ready, smaller versions for orbit. But we need resources, more than Earth alone can provide." Aric's voice hardened. "Then we take them. We mine the moons, the asteroids, wherever we must. Humanity has waited too long to hide again." Across the stars, the alien rulers gathered in a secret meeting on the Dominion capital world. The Jar Emperor sat at the center of the hall, his eyes sunken and red. The Kelthar and Von leaders appeared as holograms around him. "We underestimated them," the Emperor growled. "Their weapon destroyed our ships like paper. If they spread this technology, every throne will fall." The Kelthar leader hissed, "They are not gods, only fools with lucky hands. They will destroy themselves if we wait." But the Von speaker disagreed. "No, you saw it. They learned too fast. In one lifetime they reached us. If we give them time, they will surpass us." Silence followed. Then, slowly, the Emperor leaned forward. "Then we will send a message they cannot ignore. Back on Mars, Aric stared at the stars through the glass dome of the base. The railgun tower was being repaired, its rails glowing faintly in the dark. Lena joined him quietly. "You're thinking about them, aren't you?" He nodded. "They'll come again, and next time, they won't underestimate us." She smiled softly. "You're not afraid?" Aric looked up at the night sky, where fragments of the destroyed alien ship still drifted like silver dust. "Fear," he said. "No, I'm tired of being afraid." Meanwhile, deep in space, Sithra sat before her communicator. She had been ordered to send a full report of the battle, including human weaknesses. But she couldn't do it. Not anymore. She opened a private channel and began to record a message, not to her masters, but to Aric Vale. "Commander Vale, you don't know me, but I know what you've done. The galaxy fears you now. But listen carefully. Fear is not your victory. Something older than the empires has awakened because of your weapon. They call themselves the Eternals. They were the ones who set the great law long before your species was born. And now, they are watching you." Her voice trembled. "Be ready. The thrones are not your only enemies anymore." She sent the message through a hidden frequency, one only she knew. Then she destroyed her communicator. Hours later, Aric received the transmission. He stood alone in the control room, listening to her voice. When it ended, he stayed silent for a long time. Lena walked in. "What was that?" Aric's eyes were cold, focused. "A warning, and maybe a second war." He turned toward the stars. The reflection of Mars's railgun lights gleamed in his eyes like fire. "They thought we were dangerous before," he said quietly. "They have no idea what's coming next." Far beyond the galactic core, in the cold emptiness of deep space, enormous structures began to move. Ancient ships, older than all empires combined, awoke from their sleep. Their engines glowed faintly blue, and their symbols burned like dying suns. Their voices echoed through the void. "The humans have broken the silence. The balance must be restored." The Eternals were coming. The stars looked peaceful that night, cold, silent, endless. But somewhere beyond their calm glow, something ancient was moving. From the dark edge of the galaxy, a wave of power rippled through the void. Unseen, unstoppable, older than every empire that ruled the stars. It was not a fleet built by hands. It was a relic from another age. The Eternals had awakened. Their ships, massive black monoliths the size of moons, slid quietly through space. They made no sound, no broadcast, no light. Their presence alone distorted gravity and bent radio waves. Entire sectors of space went dark as they passed. No one dared to speak their name aloud. The ancient records called them the Keepers of Balance, the first civilization that once ruled all others. It was said that when they moved, galaxies trembled, and now their course was clear, towards Solon Mars. Inside the RAILFIRE command dome, Commander Aric Vale stood in silence before a giant holographic map. Red dots glowed across it, the movement of alien fleets. The Jar Dominion, the Kelthar Hierarchy, the Von Imperium, all gathering forces again. But beyond them, there was something else, something bigger. Dr. Lena Kaur zoomed in on the readings. "It doesn't make sense," she said, frowning. "These ships, they're not using any known drive system. The signals are too stable. It's like they're ancient." Aric's jaw tightened. "The Eternals." The entire room went silent. Even the air felt heavier. He turned toward his officers. "We've got less than 20 days before they reach us. Every colony, every ship, we prepare for total defense. No one stands down." A young officer swallowed hard. "Sir, if the Eternals are real, can we even fight them?" Aric looked at the glowing image of the incoming fleet. "We don't have a choice." Across Earth's orbit, construction never stopped. Hundreds of small railguns, smaller versions of RAILFIRE, floated above the planet. Engineers called them the Iron Halo. Massive satellites, weapon stations, and armored platforms formed a shield around Earth. Factories on the moon forged slugs the size of buildings. Cargo drones moved day and night, carrying metal and plasma coils to Mars. Humanity was no longer hiding, they were arming the sky. For the first time in history, Earth looked like a fortress. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belt, Sithra's ship floated alone in the dark. She had defied her orders, betrayed her empire, and now she was hunted. But she didn't care. Her scanners showed the same thing Aric had seen, the Eternal's fleet, silent and endless. She recorded a final message. To the humans of Sol, this is Sithra of the Jar Dominion. The Eternals have awoken. They will not negotiate. They exist to erase what they call chaos. To them, your survival is chaos. Her hands shook as she continued. Even the thrones fear them. I am sending you coordinates, a way to see what you are truly facing. Their first vanguard will pass near Jupiter's shadow. If you can reach it, you might still have time. She sent the message on an open frequency, one that could be heard by both humans and alien factions. Then she powered down her ship and drifted into silence. Hours later, the transmission reached Mars. Aric listened in silence as Sithra's trembling voice filled the command room. When it ended, Lena looked at him. Do we trust her? He nodded. She warned us before, and if she's right, we're out of time. He turned to his crew. Prepare Dauntless for launch. We're going to Jupiter. The UES Dauntless, Earth's first interplanetary battleship, rose from Mars in a storm of red dust and fire. It was a monster of steel, powered by rail engines and armed with 3 mini RAILFIRE cannons. As it entered deep space, the crew saw something that made their blood run cold. Out near Jupiter's orbit, shadows moved, massive shapes drifting between the gas clouds. They weren't glowing. They weren't broadcasting, but every sensor screamed. Lena whispered, "That's them." Each ship looked like a fragment of night, black stone covered in ancient carvings, glowing faintly with blue light. There were thousands, maybe more. Then one of them turned, no thrusters, no sound. Just a slow, impossible motion, a ship the size of a moon, shifting its direction toward them. Every warning light on the Dauntless came alive. "Captain, gravitational field spike. We're being scanned." The screen filled with strange symbols, not any known language. And then a voice echoed through the comms, deep cold, not mechanical, not alive. "You have broken the great silence." Everyone froze. "You fire the weapons of gods without knowing the cost. You are not ready." Aric stepped forward, staring at the transmission. "Who are you?" The voice replied, "We are what comes after empires. We are the end of fire." Then the signal cut out. The ships vanished from sensors, just gone, as if space itself had swallowed them. Back on Mars, panic spread across every base. The alien empires, terrified of the Eternals, sent peace requests to Earth, temporary alliances. The Jar Dominion offered fleet support. The Kelthar sent shields and data. For the first time in history, all the old enemies looked toward humanity for leadership. Aric stood before the holomap again, his eyes blazing. "They're coming," he said quietly. "And they think we're not ready." Lena looked at him, unsure whether to feel fear or pride. "So what do we do?" He smiled faintly. "We show them how loud humans can be." He turned toward the communications officer. "Send the order to every colony, every ship, every outpost. Codename Operation Iron Dawn. Far beyond Jupiter, the black monoliths of the Eternals glided closer. They made no sound, but their shadows reached far. Humanity's final defense had begun. The silence was over. The sky above Earth was no longer black. It was silver with metal. Thousands of ships, human, Jar, Kelthar, Von, all floated together for the first time in history. Their fleets formed a single wall of light around the blue planet, and beyond them, in the deep dark, the Eternals came. They moved like ghosts through space, their ships the size of cities, their engines glowing with pale blue fire. No heat, no sound, only power. Every system they passed flickered and died. Inside the command center on Mars, Commander Aric Vale watched the readings appear across the hollow table. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with quiet fury. "This is it," he said. "No more tests. No more warnings. Humanity fights back, here and now." Beside him, Dr. Lena Kaur adjusted the Railgun network status. "All RAILFIRE platforms online. The Iron Halo is ready," she hesitated. "But the energy drain, we can only fire once before the cores burn out." Aric didn't look away from the map. "Then we make that one shot count." Across the fleet, soldiers waited in silence. Human marines in armored suits stood beside alien warriors who once swore to destroy them. No one spoke. No one needed to. The same thought was in every mind. If this battle fails, everything ends. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Aric gave the order. "Open the channels." His voice echoed across 1,000 ships. "This is Commander Aric Vale of the Sol Defense Fleet. To all who stand with us, this is not a fight for one world or one flag. The Eternals believe they are balance. They think life must be silent to be pure. But we are not silence. We are noise. We are defiance. We are alive." He paused. "So when they arrive, show them what living things sound like." 1,000 voices roared in reply, then the stars turned dark. The first wave of the Eternals emerged from hyperspace. 30 colossal ships, each larger than a continent. Their hulls glowed with ancient symbols, their weapons gathering light. The void itself seemed to bend. "Targeting lock," said Lena. "They're charging something, gravitational cannons." "Fire everything," Aric shouted. The human and alien alliance unleashed hell. Beams of plasma, missiles and rail slugs ripped through the void. The iron halo above Earth blazed like a sunrise. The noise of battle filled every frequency. The first rail slug struck one of the Eternal ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire structure cracked, splitting in half, molten fragments spilling into the black. Cheers erupted across the comms. Humanity had drawn blood from gods, but the victory lasted seconds. The remaining Eternal ships responded. Their weapons fired, not beams, not projectiles, but pure silence. Every ship caught in their path simply vanished. No explosion, no debris. Just gone. On the Dauntless, alarms screamed. Shields collapsing. "Reactor 3 offline." Aric gritted his teeth. "Focus fire on their center. Make them move." The fleets fought back fiercely. The Jar warcruisers took the front line, their massive cannons firing until they overheated. Kelthar energy shields wrapped around human ships, glowing like domes of light. It wasn't enough. One by one, the Alliance ships began to fall. The Eternal weapons cut through them like shadows through light. Then out of nowhere, a new signal appeared on radar. A ship flying straight toward the Eternal fleet. It was Sithra. Her small vessel glowed with stolen Dominion power cores. She opened a direct channel to Aric. "Commander!" Their weakness is the core at their center. They draw power from subspace, disrupt it, and they fall. Aric shouted, "Sithra, pull back. You won't survive." She smiled faintly through the static. "Someone has to show them that even gods can bleed." Her ship plunged into the heart of the Eternal formation. The cores exploded, creating a storm of energy that lit up the entire system. 2 Eternal ships collapsed, their blue glow fading to black, the shockwave threw the Dauntless spinning. But the path was clear. Aric turned to Lena. "Charge the main cannon. Sir, if we fire now, we'll lose the ship." He nodded. "Then we'll go with it." The RAILFIRE array on Mars began to glow. Every rail, every coil, every battery linked together for one final discharge. The ground shook. Mars itself roared. Lena's voice echoed over comms. "Power levels unstable. Do it," Aric commanded. The entire sky turned blue as the shot fired, a single beam of light crossing millions of kilometers in a second. It tore through the center of the Eternal fleet, burning through the leader's ship, punching a hole through its heart. The explosion that followed was like a new sun. The heavens burned. When the light faded, silence returned. The Eternal ships were gone, scattered or turned to dust. Half of the Allied fleets were destroyed, but Earth still shone below, untouched. On the Dauntless, the systems flickered. Smoke filled the bridge. Lena coughed, then turned toward Aric. We did it, Aric smiled weakly. No, we did it. He looked out the cracked viewport. The stars were slowly coming back. All of us, human, alien, everyone. We did this together. Weeks later, across the galaxy, people spoke the same words. The humans stopped the Eternals. It became a legend. Songs were written, statues built, stars renamed. But on Mars, Aric stood alone before the silent remains of RAILFIRE. He touched the metal, still warm from the last shot. Lena approached him quietly. What now? He looked at the stars one last time. Now, he said softly, we build again. Because someday, something else will hear the echo, she smiled sadly. Then they'll know what happens when you threaten humanity. The wind blew across the red plains of Mars, carrying the last line of his voice into the night. We are the noise that never dies, and somewhere, far beyond the stars, in the ruins of the Eternals' fleet, something stirred. A single glowing core pulsed once, faintly, like a heartbeat. The war was over, but the story of mankind had just begun.